Welcome to the Futon Interviews. This is your host, Dustin DeMoss, and today I'm interviewing my good friend, as the thumbnail says, badass Air Force vet, because he's a badass in more ways than one, but I'm interviewing him here, and he's just a great person. He's got this philosophy about life, and he's told me about this philosophy where, if you're in the cave and you get out, it goes back to Stoicism and all that kind of stuff. And he taught me this philosophy, and it's been amazing for me. And anyways, Robert, what are you? What kinds of things interest you?
I'm big into learning about self-defense and what it would look like to have to survive for yourself out in the woods, or just in any kind of negative situation. I recently picked up learning about bushcraft and how to make like homes and lean-tos and stuff. Obviously, a big fan of guns. Really enjoy those.
Yeah.
I enjoy going to kava bars as opposed to going to regular alcoholic bars. Does well for my mental health and gives me something social to do without, going down the rabbit hole of drinking.
Yeah.
And driving. I like cars. I like driving, just being on the road, windows down, just, cruising. It's a good feeling.
Yeah. We've been on those roads driving from Ocala up here to Gainesville quite a bit.
Yes, we
Man,
have.
I enjoyed listening to that song. What is it called? Caíta?
Caíta.
Oh, Caíta. Robert knows Spanish as well, and but he's I guess you make friends easily, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, because you were telling me the story about how you learned Spanish, and you were in college, and you just started hanging out with Spanish people. Tell me about that.
So I was at FSU. I had taken Spanish courses during my associates, but it had been so long ago that I'd done those before. It was before I enlisted.
Yeah.
That I was taking those Spanish courses. So, I have a little bit of a memory lapse. I try to speak Spanish when I can, where it's appropriate, just to stay on top of it. But in this new Spanish course, wasn't doing so hot. So we had this Panamanian student union at FSU, Florida State University. And I took to them, they took to me real quick, and just getting to hang around fluent speakers from the country of Panama, I would definitely say helped me with picking up some of that Spanish and getting back into the groove.
Yeah, that's, the thing I like about you most is that you're accepting of all kinds of people, I think that's a great, way to live, why, in this day and age, there's all this, division and that kind of stuff. And I'm wondering, how did you go about getting that philosophy of accepting all kinds of people?
It lines up with my political beliefs. I am what's considered a constitutional conservative, and the very, very boiled down version of what that means is just basically I want everybody to be able to live their lives, do what they want. I don't care if you want to marry your trans boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever, and grow a pot farm and protect that pot farm with enough guns to supply a civil war in a third world country. Yeah. I really don't care. It's not my business, not my pig, not my farm. Just like when you're shooting, don't shoot into my backyard. Yeah. Don't give kids the pot. Mm-hmm. But other than that, do you. I don't care. Yeah. I believe everybody has the right to live their lives and pursue life and achieve life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, essentially.
Now, since you're an Air Force vet, did you see those kind of values in the Air Force?
Well, it's kind of an odd question. I was definitely stationed with freedom-loving people who love this country. I will say that, while you're in the military, and I'm sure you can relate to this, that, it's not like you enlist because, you just love the flag so much.
Yeah.
You're enlisting for personal reasons. Now, I do love this country, and wanting to serve it definitely played a factor in my decision to enlist. But when you're out on post, you're not thinking, man, I'm glad to be serving this country. You're just glad to be around people you care about.
Yeah.
I've been told by combat veteran friends of mine that when rounds start flying, it's no longer about God and country. It's about you and your team and getting out.
Yeah.
So while I do believe that the guys I served with absolutely love this country, I also I had a train of thought and lost it.
You were saying
the way that life is in the military in general, and this isn't just Air Force, and I know you know this, you don't get the same kind of freedom as an individual in the military as you do in the civilian world.
Yeah.
You have guys who have been divorced 3 times and had 1 DUI who get to come and break into your room because they need to make sure you've kept it clean, and if not, you can get in disciplinary trouble. So, very odd.
I always heard it say, they always said you work for a democracy and you live under a communist or you live under...
Something like that.
Yeah. But, what were some of the reasons that led you to want to serve in the military?
So my adopted dad, he was Army. He was a crew chief, worked on the Black Hawk airframe. And just growing up in the military, my first superheroes were guys in BDUs. Mm-hmm. It was not somebody with a cape. It was men and women in BDUs. Those were my heroes. And then my freshman year of college, reconnected with a high school sweetheart, and her and I started dating, and I was very much in love with her, wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. But I was working out of Tivana at the Gardens Mall and going to school for whatever, just to appease my parents, I guess. And so I walked into an Army recruiter one day, took the ASVAB, got a 97 overall score, which I'm sure the highest you can get is a 99.
Yeah.
And my dad said, look, the Army treated me well, but you got a 97 out of 99. Go shop around. So I ended up at an Air Force recruiter, and they said, their deployments are shorter than most every other branch. So I decided to take a shot and go Air Force. I meant more time stateside with the girl. So I ended up picking Air Force. Yeah. In hindsight, if I had it to do over again, I would have gone Army as a 68 Whiskey combat medic. Mm-hmm. But it is what it is.
Yeah. You want to know something funny?
What's that?
You scored way higher than me.
Yeah.
On the ASVAB. I scored a 67, I think.
Okay.
And when I got into I always wanted to work on planes. I love planes,
Mm-hmm.
And I scored just high enough to work in aircraft fuel systems. And once I got into it, it was like I sucked so hard at it.
Dude, we all suck going into the jobs that we end up doing.
Yeah.
Everybody. I don't think I've met many people who straight out of their tech school or AIT or A school, whatever branch you're in, I don't think anybody really knows what they're doing once they get active duty. You got to be active duty for at least a few months before you have a real idea of what's going on.
Yeah, it's also like it's kind of ingrained in the system to make you fail, because the bureaucracy and all that kind of stuff is you're gonna suck, I mean, until you get better, right?
Yeah, but that's kind of the whole point of the rank system is, when, let's say you just got your GED, you literally just barely hit the marks to be able to enlist, and you just barely got the score you needed to go into your job. So let's say as soon as you graduate basic, you're an E1 Airman Basic.
Yeah.
You have your GED, you're and not to mock anybody who got their GED enlisted, you did it.
Yeah.
But you're not going to know as much as an E1 right out of A school as a staff sergeant, a tech sergeant, somebody who's been around a while, has worked both the grunt side of it and the, NCO side of it. So I guess that's just the whole point to it, though, is just that you're not going to know as much going in as you do after, some time.
Now, I want to bring up another subject, another transition here. So thinking on your life, like what's the thing that you're most proud of?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I would have to say getting through both boot camp and tech school.
Yeah.
It was not easy. And I know other branches are going to be like, well, raw Marines are hard. I get it. Every branch has their own obstacles and stuff. But they really threw everything they could at me. Upon graduation, I thought I was going to be spiteful and make them pin my badge on me.
Yeah.
Because you get a metal badge for your Class A's or your dress blues.
Yeah.
And I went to them to have them pin it on me, and they've been giving me the hardest time. I was singled out 100% by their own admittance. And when they went to pin my badge on me, they said they gave me such a hard time because they knew what my ASVAB score was and believed I had more potential. So they wanted to push it out of me.
Yeah.
So being able to graduate and get through boot camp and get through tech school and get through combat school and be able to say I am 100% a Security Forces member was a pretty defining moment for me.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that people don't realize is that Security Forces in the Air Force, I would say, actually has a lot of training they have to do. I mean, you would agree. But the thing is like you're protecting, not only the base, you're protecting equipment like nuclear facilities, all these type of things. And so, the idea that, this branch or that branch is not as skilled in what they're doing is a misnomer. What are your thoughts on that?
I've never actually really thought about this. So to answer the first part, yes, Security Forces is actually the single largest job in the Air Force. Just because they're the one constant. Every airbase you have, you need Security Forces on it. You need people out on flight line. You need people working gates so that, you're checking IDs, all that stuff. You need people on patrol for every base in the Air Force. So Security Forces, and that's also your deployed environments, not just your stateside or overseas bases like, Germany, Japan, Korea. It's also Bagram, and the FOBs out there that, if there's any under Air Force control, you need more out there. So there's just a big need for Security Forces, and a lot of times you won't have the manning you need, just recruitment, stuff like that. So yes, it is definitely a massive, massive career field. As far as the Air Force being more skilled than another branch or another branch being more skilled, I think kind of ignores the fact that each branch has their own mission. So Marines, for instance, they are expected to get the job done with hand-me-downs. They live on, low rations sometimes. Their rifles are, 40 years old. Their vehicles are just barely crawling along. But Marines, excuse me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just a little gas. Marines get the job done.
Yeah.
That's what their skill set is being able to do anything with very limited resources.
Yeah.
You can't throw an Air Force guy into that situation. He's not going to know. He's not going to have that skill set. Maybe some Security Forces guys, absolutely, like our, you've got your high-tempo squadrons like Adam Moody. I know that they have very consistent deployment tempo.
Yeah.
So not to say that no one would, but that's Marine skill set.
Yeah.
Marines also can't be expected to fly C-130 over a target and drop bombs on it. It's just not their skill set. So each branch just has different has a different mission than the other. So to say one is more skilled, yes, technically they would be more skilled in their skill set than another branch, but it's just because that branch doesn't have that mission.
Yeah. Now, okay, so we've gone through what you think is your proudest moment, and I want to talk to you about, where was rock bottom? And, okay, this is a 3-part question.
Okay.
Where was rock bottom? And then what did you learn from it? And what are you going to do with it?
So for me, rock bottom was probably my DUI back in 2017. I was an alcoholic. I was a coke addict. And I just was not living a great life. And then one night, after being advised by one of my best friends not to go drive, I still did and got myself a DUI. Mm-hmm. I remember sitting in the jail cell, the drunk tank, I guess, for the night and just feeling absolutely miserable. And, hanging my head low everywhere I went after getting out because I just felt so awful. But the probation time, people think the worst part or the part that keeps you from wanting to get another DUI is how much they cost, and it is expensive and it is not worth it. Uber everywhere you go.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to. You do not want a DUI. If you don't get a DUI, worse, you kill somebody. It's not worth it. So while I was on probation, the thing that made me never want to get another DUI was actually part of my plea deal. I had to go to what's called a victim impact panel, and it's where they have people whose lives have been affected by drunk drivers, and they come and just tell their story. And one of the women's story was that her daughter and her daughter's best friend both got accepted to UCF in Orlando, and their first semester there, they just made it through midterms, and they went out to downtown Orlando with their girlfriends, so the 4 of them, to go blow off some steam. And on their way back, they were hit by a drunk driver who was coked up and drunk leaving a titty bar. And I realized that could have been me that robbed that woman of her daughter, who her daughter did end up passing in the hospital. And I realized I never want to do that again. I never want to be a part of that problem. So I found a community, thankfully, the Kava community down south, who helped pull me out of it. During probation, there was not even a temptation to really drink anymore. I just went to my kava bar and I hung out with my people there and just worked on finding a better crowd of people to surround myself with than ones that you find at bars. Yeah. So I've definitely used that moment to not only get myself out of some nasty vices and out of a nasty place, I use it to teach other people, to encourage other people the right things to do, like getting Uber or calling a friend. I had a friend call me one night. I was still on probation. He just got off and went drinking, and his girl and him called me at 2:00 in the morning asking me to come pick him up 35 minutes away from where I was living. I did. I was happy to.
Now, I'm going to tell everybody what I love about this man right here is that he's learned his lessons. And, just like he told you, he instills what is the core values of the Air Force. One of the core values, which is service to others. And, I've had mental breakdowns, and this guy has been there for me. He's told me how to, when we talked about what I wanted to do for the future, you were like, what do you see for your future? You were talking to me. And I said, I want to create peace for my future. And you know what? About 6 months later, I had that peace. And this guy right here is one of the big reasons I have that peace. Now, what is one of the things that you would tell people about life and what you've learned in life and how to go about living life?
That's a hard one. I've been through so much. I don't know that there's just one thing I would necessarily tell people. But I guess if there's one thing that I could think to say is take opportunities as they present themselves. I got to be on stage with Mayday Parade, one of my favorite bands.
Oh, tell that story, by the way. Tell that story. I love that story.
So I had just gotten to Tallahassee. I just started at FSU, and I had seen an ad on Facebook for a pop punk and emo night going on in town. I showed up. It was being hosted by Brightside, which is a local band from Tallahassee, and then Mayday Parade, which is also from Tallahassee, but they're much bigger. So I went. I had a great time. The music was so much fun. It was a very enjoyable experience. So after the show was over, I stepped out to grab a cigarette, and I saw Derek Sanders standing talking to somebody. He saw me, called me over. We got to talking, and next thing you know, he is saving his number in my phone and asking me to text him so that I can be his guest of honor at their show at a venue in Tallahassee called The Moon 2 days later. And so when I was there, they went to go into playing one of their last songs of the night, and they said they had a fan in the crowd named Robert Reynolds and invited me up on stage, and I was brought up on stage to sing Stay with the band. I thought it was very awesome.
Yeah.
And people ask me, how does this stuff happen to you? I just take opportunities when they come. I just, sure, let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing you can learn as somebody who's young, is, you're still young. I'm getting older, but but the biggest thing I can tell young people, and I think, you agree, which you just said you agree. I mean, you just said based on that you agree. But the biggest thing you can do is take those opportunities when they come. And when you run out of opportunities, create your own opportunities, it's just like something that, a lot of people don't understand. They want to complain about, oh, this country has done this to me or this, but, what you have to do is you have to break out of that mindset, right? And you have to realize that, you create your own opportunities in this country. No matter what, if you look to a president or something like that, you're never going to get those opportunities because you're looking for somebody that doesn't care about you, And anyways, Robert, I thank you. You're a great friend. There's a lot of great qualities in you, and I'm so honored to have you as my first guest on this podcast video interview thing. And dude, I love you, man.
I love you too, dog.
All right. Well, that was our first video. That was our first video interview for this YouTube series or YouTube channel, and I hope to do a lot more. And we're just letting people tell their stories. And I think that's the greatest thing that you can do is let people tell their stories, because everybody has a story in this life. It doesn't matter if you're the president. It doesn't matter if you're a congressman. It doesn't matter if you're a convenience store worker. It doesn't matter anything. It doesn't matter. Everybody has a story. And those stories need to be told because there's so much about the human experience that we can learn from one another. Anyways, have a good night.